Role combinations can help you create great patterns and player rotations or great chaos in your gameplay. In this series, we'll take note of role combinations in Football Manager 2024 and how you can use them to get an advantage over the opposition, especially in the build-up phase. I have split the pitch in 3 groups and we'll talk about each group of role combinations individually: defense, right and left side. Since there are so many role combinations that can be done in Football Manager 2024, the key to them is getting a balance. Too many players being told to go on attack and you end up having to defend deadly counterattacks. Too many players defending and it will cost you the ball possession and peace of mind, having to withstand a lot of pressure from the opposition. Looking at the defensive setup, let's explore possible role combinations for each formation. 4 at the back and 3 at the back are the most common setups, at least for the center backs. The wing backs can be added to form a 5 at the back at times. Whenever you create a tactic, make sure to think of the rest defense. The rest defense is the setup you end up with in possession, having to defend counterattacks. With the 4 at the back, you can have this combination: sweeper keeper, inverted wingback, center defender, ball playing defender and wingback or fullback, plus a defensive midfielder. The wingback will look to push up more in possession, while the fullback will push up more but not as aggressive as the wingback. Roles in Football Manager 2024 tell you what the player can do in the chosen position, and duties instruct the player how to perform the role. Of course, the wingbacks can be set on attack duty, but I would set only one of them on attack duty, as otherwise they will fly forward, leaving you to defend with 2 or 3 players depending on the game moment. Leaving them on support, the inverted wingback will drift inside in possession, moving slowly to the midfield positions, while the wingback will go up gradually in the rhythm of the build-up. Keeping the defensive midfielder on support instructs him to prioritize the defensive duties, but once the ball has been recovered, to gradually go up when your team is in possession. Having the 2 center backs on defend duty means that they will look to be on the same line defensively. Moving one of them on stopper or cover will make them end up higher or lower than the line. The ball playing defender role instructs the player to take more risks when in possession and go up the pitch with the ball if the gameplay allows him to. But what if the setup is too aggressive and you need a more conservative one? Then you can go with this kind of setup. But be mindful that this is a rigid setup. With these roles and duties, the players will look to preserve their positions and clear the ball as fast as possible. Adding a halfback in the defensive midfield position will help you protect your back line, prioritizing the defensive duties. Keep in mind that in possession, the halfback drops down in the defensive line, becoming the 3rd center back, thus creating a 5 players defensive backline. This kind of setup is doable in FM24 and is useful for teams that look to defend first and score on the counter. I would use this kind of setup, coupled with other team instructions, in the end moments of a match if my team were in the lead, to make sure that we win. If you don't want to have 5 at the back line in possession, you can choose a ball-winning midfielder or defensive midfielder role for the player in this position. This will ensure that the ball is kept in possession often after it was recovered. But you can also have the opposite of this setup, meaning a setup that helps get numbers in possession but leaves you vulnerable in defense. This setup will push the libero, the left wingback and the defensive midfielder up the field when in possession, leaving you to defend with 2 players and a sweeper keeper. If my team were the best in the league or in the match, I would use this kind of setup coupled with other roles and team instructions to overwhelm the opposition and make the best of the attacking opportunities. The complete wingback can be on attack duty if you really want him to be an attack-minded player, not really prioritizing his defensive duties. And the regista can be a roaming playmaker, as the roaming playmaker looks to go up in the rhythm of the build-up, lurking on the opposition's box for shooting opportunities or just be a support in the passing game. This setup gives you 7 players in attack with only these 3 waiting to stop counterattacks. These were 4 at the back setups, but what about 3 and 5 at the back? When we talk about 3 at the back, we talk about 3 center backs. Coupled with wingbacks, they can become a 5 at the back. This setup is the more balanced one. The inverted wingback can be also on defend duty, it depends on how aggressive you would like to be in possession. I would use the inverted wingback on this flank, as the wide center back on support duty will look to push up in the midfield space, of course on the wide side. I would also use this combination, pushing the wide center back further up the pitch and telling the wingback to stand his ground in possession. This way, 3 players will push up the field and 3 will defend. If you want to be conservative, this setup might help. And if you want to be very aggressive, this setup might be of help. I wouldn't recommend this setup though, as it seems too unbalanced in defense, but it might work. The libero will switch places with the halfback, but you need to make sure that there are enough central defenders remaining for him to do so. This will leave you defending counterattacks with at least 3 players. In defensive midfield, there are many combinations that you can do. To keep the setup balanced, make sure to use one defensive-minded role and one more attacking-minded role. These roles are defensive-oriented, while these ones prioritize supporting the build-up. 5 at the back gives you more room to use combinations with the wing and fullbacks. For example, I would go with the libero setup in this way to keep it balanced in defense and help the build-up play. The wide center back will go up in the midfield, the inverted fullback will come inside, the libero will push up in the midfield, while the wingback will slash the pitch and help the possession game, while the segundo volante will go up in the attack, arriving late in the opposition's box. Of course, you can go with a very conservative way and this setup. You will defend with 5 players in possession. There are a lot of combinations that you can make in Football Manager 2024, and the match engine, being focused on positional play, helps make the combinations work. Of course, it takes a lot of creativity and experimenting. But if you manage to get it right, you can confuse the opposition and end up having goals scored by players being assigned defensive roles.